In 1943, sugar was rationed to half a pound per person per week. Butter was nearly impossible to find. And yet your grandmother set a full table every single night, never letting the family see how close to empty the pantry was. The women who ran American farmhouse kitchens during the two world wars were not just cooks. They were miracle workers who translated rationing policy into actual meals, every day, without recognition. Today, we count down 25 forgotten farmhouse meals our grandmothers made during wartime, and what we lost when we stopped making them. Stay until the end, because the final meal says something about those women no history book has ever bothered to say. Number 25, mock apple pie. Nabisco printed this recipe on Ritz cracker boxes starting in 1942. Crackers soaked in spiced sugar syrup, bake in a crust until nearly indistinguishable from the real thing. Your grandmother didn't tell the children there were no apples. She set it on the table and watched them eat every slice. That silence was its own kind of love. Number 24, Victory Garden Soup. By 1944, 20 million home gardens produced roughly 40% of all vegetables consumed in the United States. Whatever the garden gave that morning went into the pot. Tomatoes, beans, turnips, kale, simmered all morning. Your great-grandmother planned her whole week around what the garden gave. The family never complained. They understood what it meant. Number 23, wacky cake. No eggs, no butter, no milk. And yet chocolate cake appeared for every wartime birthday. Flour, cocoa, oil, white vinegar, and cold water mixed directly in the baking pan. Children born during the war grew up thinking this was simply what chocolate cake was. Your grandmother never mentioned the substitution because to her it was not a compromise. It was a cake. Number 22, canned salmon patties. Canned salmon was never rationed, making it one of the most valuable proteins in the wartime pantry. Mashed with cracker crumbs, egg, and onion, fried in drippings until golden. The sound of salmon patties frying on a Friday evening was a specific memory for an entire generation. Your grandmother made them without measuring anything, flipping by instinct. Number 21, root vegetable hash. Turnips, parsnips, rutabaga, and whatever potatoes remained, diced and fried in bacon drippings until crispy, topped with a fried egg. Root vegetables stored all winter and required no ration coupons. Your great-grandmother looked at what remained on the cellar shelf in February and made something worth sitting down for. That was the skill no ration book could provide. Number 20, potato soup with bacon drippings. Every farmhouse kept a drippings tin beside the stove, filled and refilled all week. Onions softened in drippings, potatoes simmered until mashed into a thick broth, finished with a splash of evaporated milk. Your grandmother made this the way she breathed, without consulting anything. The recipe lived in her palms. Because it was never written down, it had almost nothing to survive in. Number 19, oleo margarine. Butter was rationed, and oleo arrived as a white block with a yellow dye packet that families kneaded together before serving. The task was given to children. Your grandmother handed you the packet and you understood, without explanation, that this was your job for the war. Number 18, carrot cookies and carrot fudge. Sugar was rationed in May of 1942 and remained rationed until 1947. Grated raw carrot folded into cookie dough or fudge provided natural sweetness in bulk. And get this, carrot cake, now a beloved American classic, is the direct post-war descendant of wartime carrot baking. Few people who order it today know what it replaced or why it was invented. Number 17, mock chicken on a stick, ground pork. And veal formed around a wooden skewer, rolled in breadcrumbs, pan-fried until golden. Your grandmother called it chicken. You did not ask questions. The fritter arrived on your plate, it was good, and nothing further was required of either of you. Number 16, meatless Monday bean stew. The Meatless Monday campaign, introduced in World War I, revived in World War II, asked families to go without meat one day a week to redirect food to troops. Farmhouse women enforced it without oversight or reward. Dried beans simmered for hours with onion, carrot, and bay leaf, served with cornbread. Monday smelled like beans on every farmhouse road in America. Here is where things get personal. A World War II ration book was a small booklet of colored stamps your grandmother counted out every Sunday evening. Red for meat and fat, blue for processed foods. Sugar had its own book entirely. Translation, every meal she planned had to fit within the stamp she had left, not the ingredients she wanted, the stamp she had. She did that for every person in that farmhouse, every week, for years, without missing a single supper. Which of these meals surprises you most? Tell us in the comments. We read everyone. Number 15, stuffed peppers with rice and breadcrumbs. A few ounces of rationed beef stretched through an entire filling with rice, breadcrumbs, and canned tomatoes. It looked like dinner, and it was. Your grandmother understood that presentation was its own form of generosity. What the eye believed, the stomach accepted. Number 14, tomato gravy on biscuits. Home canned tomatoes cooked into a thin gravy with flour and bacon drippings, poured over cast iron biscuits. A complete meal from the pantry shelf. Your grandmother made it look like a choice rather than a necessity. That was the real skill. The presentation of dignity at a table that had almost nothing behind it. Number 13, drippings gravy on everything. The pan drippings were never wasted. Deglazed, thickened with flour, poured over bread, potatoes, or cornbread to stretch a modest portion into a full meal. Your grandmother poured gravy the way other people poured love, generously, without measuring, covering whatever needed covering. We lost something when the drippings tin came off the stove for good. Number 12, bread pudding with vanilla sauce. Government posters instructed households not to waste food. Stale bread soaked in eggs, evaporated milk, molasses, vanilla, and cinnamon, baked until set, topped with warm vanilla sauce. Your grandmother did not see stale bread as a problem. She saw it as an ingredient waiting for its purpose. That reframing of scarcity as potential was the essential philosophy of the wartime farmhouse kitchen. Number 11, wild green salad with hot drippings dressing. Before the Victory Garden produced anything, watercress and dandelion greens from creek banks provided critical vitamins at exactly the moment the body needed them, and cost absolutely nothing. Hot drippings deglazed with cider vinegar poured over the greens. Your great-grandmother sent children to the creek bank in March. They went without being told twice. Spring had arrived. Number 10, cornmeal porridge with sorghum. Cornmeal was unrationed. Sorghum was available when sugar was not. Together, they made a slow-cooked porridge that cost almost nothing and sustained a farm family through a full working day. Your great-grandmother was already at the stove when the children came downstairs. The porridge was always ready. It was the most reliable thing in a deeply uncertain world. Number 9, homemade noodles with brown butter and breadcrumbs. Farmhouse eggs rolled into a stiff dough, stretched paper thin, boiled and tossed with brown fat and toasted crumbs from bread too stale to eat otherwise. Children watched from the doorway while their grandmother rolled with the quiet efficiency of someone who had done it 1,000 times. Commercial pasta arrived after the war. The rolling pin went quiet within 2 generations. Number 8, jam cake with caramel icing. Blackberry jam folded into a spice batter supplemented the reduced sugar ration while adding moisture and color. Caramel icing from brown sugar, evaporated milk, and oleo poured warm over the layers. Your grandmother made it for every birthday, every holiday, every occasion that required marking. It was not a second best cake, it was the cake. Here's where things get personal in a different way. The women who made the mock apple pie, the carrot fudge, and the meatless bean stew never received a medal. No government program was named after them, and yet they translated rationing policy into actual food for actual people every single night for years. We lost something when we stopped telling their stories, not just the recipes, but the names behind them. The women who held the home front together with a drippings tin, a ration, book, and the refusal to let anyone go to bed hungry. If these women deserve to be remembered, and they do, hit subscribe. Number 7, peanut butter and corn syrup sandwich. When rationing curtailed commercial jam production, unrationed corn syrup kept lunch boxes filled with something children wanted. Peanut butter on homemade bread, drizzled with caro syrup, packed in wax paper. The sweetness against the salt was not a compromise. It was a combination that worked. When rationing ended, commercial jelly returned, and this version was forgotten within a decade. It never needed to disappear. Number 6, prune and dried fruit cake. Dried fruit was unrationed. Prunes and raisins simmered until soft, the liquid used as the primary wet ingredient, reducing the rationed sugar at every stage. Your great-grandmother called it cake, set it down, and that was the end of the discussion. Post-war prosperity retired it before anyone understood what they were giving up. Number 5, milk. Toast. Day-old bread toasted, warm milk poured over it with a pinch of salt and sugar. It required almost nothing and gave back something no ration book could provide. This was what your grandmother brought upstairs when you were feverish. but here's where it gets truly poignant. The word milquetoast entered the language as a synonym for weakness, and the dish followed its reputation into obscurity. The care it represented was forgotten alongside it. Number 4, cream chip beef on toast, dried salted beef stirred into a white cream sauce, poured over toast, ready in 15 minutes from shelf-stable ingredients. Farm families recognized it as a military dish. Eating it at home felt, in a quiet way, like solidarity. Your father is eating something like this tonight, mothers told the children, and the children ate without complaint. Number 3, boiled peanuts as a meal, raw green peanuts boiled for hours in salted water, eaten warm from the shell, requiring no ration. Coupons. Boiling peanuts was a communal and seasonal act. Neighbors arrived without being invited. Your great-grandmother understood that abundance, even modest abundance, was meant to be shared, and that sharing it was itself a kind of survival. Number 2, vinegar pie, cider vinegar beaten with eggs, sorghum, flour, and oleo, baked in a lard crust until set to a soft tart custard, replicating fruit pie with almost nothing from the ration book. It tasted like pie. That was the whole story. Your grandmother kept the vinegar to herself until the war was over. There was no reason to complicate something that was already working. Number 1, friendship soup. Neighbors brought whatever they could spare. Dried beans, 2 carrots, a small onion, a piece of salt pork. Combine everything into one pot and share the result. No fixed recipe, no single author, no single family had enough. Every family together had more than enough. This is the meal that most honestly captures what the wartime homefront was: not individual sacrifice, but a collective act carried out by women who understood that no family endures a war alone. Your great-grandmother brought what she had. Her neighbor brought what she had. Together they made supper, 25 meals, 25 ways farmhouse women refused to let rationing, scarcity, or uncertainty win. They made pie from crackers. They made cake without eggs. They made supper from a drippings tin and creek bank greens and the last jar on the cellar shelf. Every night, without being asked twice, the women who made these meals never called it sacrifice. They called it Tuesday, and that quiet, daily, unrecognized determination to keep everyone fed and the table set and the family whole is what we lost when we forgot their recipes, and what we owe it to them to remember. Hit subscribe for more lost American memories and forgotten wisdom. And if your grandmother made any of these, we want to hear her name in the comments below.